Hi guys, we're on the sidelines of Deconomy 2019 in Seoul, Korea, and I have with me two very interesting people. So first of all, John, we're going to be hosting at least some of the episodes, and we'll see how things go. To see how many episodes we actually end up doing together. But I mean, hopefully this is the start of something. Longer term.
Grand, for sure.
Absolutely. New strides for Decrypt Asia, I guess.
Yeah.
And I have Beck with me, who's an investor at a very well-known fund called Hashed, based out of Korea as well as San Francisco. Beck is based out of San Francisco. So before we go into more details about how Hash was built, what they're focused on in terms of investments, we want to get a quick background about how you got into crypto and how did Hash come about?
Sure. Yeah. All right. Thank you, guys. So how I got into crypto, I'm definitely not a crypto OG or anything. I used to be a software engineer at AWS on their cloud platform for IoT. And back then, IoT was a buzzword 3-4 years ago, where everyone wanted to put sensor everywhere, get all the data, run analytics on it, and optimize, manufacturing or some facility. And during that process of building that platform as engineer, I saw that there's a lot of gap in this ecosystem of IoT, where at protocol level, embedded level, cloud, some of the security leaks, and also some of the areas where you can complement as a blockchain technology. So as an engineer, I got into blockchain from more technical angle as some kind of like a software design that I can implement maybe into IoT. So I didn't know anything about like ICO or Ethereum or governance, token economics. But how I really got into this crypto ecosystem was actually through Hash partners. So I knew them since college days. They're much older than me. We were both doing our own startups. But as they were more active in investing as individual investors in the crypto space, they started exposing me into conferences. So they invited me over to fly out and check out the scene, look at the deal together. So it took me actually like about 6 months to join Hash guys and start the fund together around end of the 2017, and I joined early 2018. So since then, I initially started as like more of a tech researcher, and then quickly started running a lot of operation around acceleration efforts. So helping the initial projects with the token economics, protocol design, white papers, a lot of the Korean founders, because initially we were focusing on Korean market, helping them to go global. Now I'm focusing more as like individual investor within Hash, focusing on US markets, primarily focusing on tech investments. So picks and shovels, enabling technologies and such, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Should I talk more about how Hash started, or?
Sure, yeah.
I guess you can edit it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's fine. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's good to keep.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it's in there,
Yeah.
I think it's fine.
Okay.
I think people appreciate that.
Okay. Yeah. So how Hash started? So it's six partners were all engineering background. Alex was coming from more of an enterprise sales background, and all of them, is startup founders. That love to work with founders, very hands-on, working on, product. And we started asking really hard questions when we were investing as individual investors in the community. And, we made some good investments, especially early on with Ethereum and initial ICOs. And we helped the Icon guys start with their acceleration.
Yeah, makes sense.
And since then we matured into a cross-border fund, covering U.S. markets and Asian markets, and we're a very consumer-focused fund. So we've been investing heavily into dApps, working on existing businesses trying to implement cryptocurrency and blockchain into their business, but also working in conglomerates, enterprises, messengers, gaming publishers as distribution channels for mass adoption. Whereas in US, we focus more on very tech-heavy projects, so protocols, platforms, picks and shovels, analytics platforms and such. Yeah.
Mm. Can you be specific about some of the bigger companies in Korea that you've been working with on that kind of onboarding into using crypto in their existing business models?
Yeah, so we don't do any kind of like advisory or consulting business, but we led the run and accelerate the Kakao's blockchain initiative called Clayton, and they're ready to launch in June. And on the Kakao mobile side, where they have around 50 plus million users, they are ready to implement crypto wallet into messengers and ready to onboard their subsidiaries. Like they have number one banking app, beauty app, mobility, music.
Yeah. How significant is that for Korea? I mean, that's what is that, 80% of the country?
Actually 96%, more than 6%.
Yeah.
And the characteristic of their user is that they're very sticky, they're very loyal to Kakao platform, and they pay a lot of money compared to other platforms such as like Telegram or Kik. And we also invested in Line's blockchain initiative called Link. So we want to cover both Korea, but Line through Japan and Southeast Asia in terms of like the mass adoption. And they're doing somewhat similar play through Messenger, implementing dApps on their platforms. And one of our dApp portfolio, Cosmo Chain, also launched together with Samsung's new crypto wallet in the private key store as the only dApp in their platform. So these are some of the plays that we want to do to help the mass adoption accelerate in the space.
So, I mean, there's a little bit of a difference between your strategy in Korea or Southeast Asia plus Asia versus the US. Any particular reason for that?
It's just that, we think having this regional dominance is a very fortunate thing to have, and it's very strategic that not many funds have. And as a leading fund in Korea, we want to be more creative in terms of how we can help the ecosystem, because we can play different cards. Whereas in US, there are a lot of competing funds, even for crypto investment scene still. People say it's bear market, but it's actually very active investment scene in SF right now, especially through equity investment. So in US, we been just actively meeting good founders, investing into technologies. Whereas in Asia, we want to be more creative, helping out hands-on projects to connect the dots.
On the kind of strategy in the U.S., picks and shovels style there. Can you talk about some interesting things that you've been seeing here recently? You're kind of heading up that part of the business, right?
As a fund, we've been looking into a lot of enabling technologies that can accelerate the mass adoption that's happening. Because a lot of the dApp portfolios that we have and projects in Asia, they're having trouble because there's not many infrastructure tools to play around to grow their business. So for example, in SF, one of our portfolio, Origin, started as a protocol, but then because they saw that their developers in the community were having hard time having adoption on their applications on top of Origin protocol, Origin started building wallets, growth engines, and dev tools to support that growth adoption. So these are some of the things that we are seeing, and now rather than these platforms having all the redundant infra building around them, there are specialists that are coming into the space. Like for Query Layer, there's Dograph, sidechain scaling solution, there's Scale Labs, and all these are playing very enterprise-like service, very production-ready software code with tech support that is comparable to AWS. And I think that's a really good thing for the industry, where developers coming into this space trying to build good service, they can expect what price they can pay and what kind of service they're going to get offered. And also in the long term, they have a confidence that these companies will build the infrastructure tools that my startup needs in the future to grow together.
Yep. I think more in terms of fund structure. So I know you guys are it's proprietary capital. At some point, if you're looking to scale out, would you consider raising capital externally?
We're still no LP. It's our money, and we've been focusing only on primary market investments through venture capital play. We haven't done any SaaS trades or LTC. Kind of like a hedge fund play. Obviously, it's not sustainable as the industry is moving into more of a long-term equity investment play. So for strategic reasons, especially for US market investments, we are thinking of raising LP money in the future. But right now, it's not our biggest concern or the priority as of now. Yeah.
And what is your biggest goal or biggest priority over the next 6 to 12 months?
For
maybe 2 years, maybe.
2 years is a really long time in crypto. But for now, in Asia, we are betting on a lot of the big projects that we invested in Korea that are having good traction. Like Terra stablecoin projects launching soon with e-commerce players. Clayton's gonna be onboarding a big chunk of their ecosystem into blockchain.
Yeah.
So we're excited about that, and we're gonna be focusing on helping them on go to market and supporting the dApp ecosystem around that. And that's the reason why we started a dApp accelerator in Korea and Asian market specifically, because we see initial traction of blockchain in gaming area. In US, we want to continue to invest in good founders, more of a just consistent investment play, nothing too special. Just we see gaps in infrastructure. We see good founder there. We will continue to invest. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, final thoughts on the industry as a whole. I mean, we've come.
Yeah.
I think since you guys got in, I mean, there have been sort of different cycles.
Right.
I mean, there was Ethereum, like you said. Initially, we moved over to sort of the entire ICO mania in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
2018 was more around stable coins.
Mm-hmm.
I think 2019 so far, I think it's mostly been, I think the buzz has been around IEOs. Is there personally something about the industry as a whole, before we wrap up, that excites you?
For me, so because within Hash, I'm the one usually spending the most time with the founders, not so much on capital market side, because I personally don't do any trading or follow market too much. But the trend that I see in this industry, especially for the US market and technology side that I focus on at Hash, is that I divide this infrastructure landscape into crypto natives, and other extreme is like a decentralized AWS. Yeah. And in the middle, it's like a no man's land.
Right.
And we see Cosmos and like Polkadot guys on the left side with the crypto native, very unique set of ecosystems and very strong community. And we're also investor of Cosmos, so we're very supportive of that. But on the other side, like a Scale, Definity, Seller, Near Protocol guys, very enterprise focused, delivering production level code. I believe this whole industry, the newcomers, there's no new crypto native comers in the industry, like founders. So anyone who's coming into this space should focus more on how to be that decentralized AWS side. And I see a lot of projects actually trying to move toward that side, because a lot of the projects that are in no man's land, I don't want to mention specific project names,
sure.
But they're struggling with adoption because they're not within that crypto native circle, but also they're not offering production level enterprise ready solution or go to market strategy to the market, that they're not being able to catch the developers or developer communities in the space.
So you're saying you should pick one of the two sides? Is that?
Yeah. You should pick one of the two sides, but I think it's going to be almost impossible for these newcomers to be in that crypto native side, unless you're already from that side.
Right.
So we see that a lot of deals that we're looking into right now, and a lot of the projects that we already invested are moving towards the decentralized AWS side. Yeah.
John, any last thoughts, questions?
I think that's been informative.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, thanks for taking the time. It's I think it's been an interesting experiment. We're standing in the locker room. It's apparently the press room. But thank you so much for taking the time. And good luck with all the initiatives at Hashed.